Alright guys, so you guys voted on this on Patreon, and as always, if you haven't already, hit the link below, head on over to Patreon, where you guys can check out exclusive content over on there, and if you hit the 4th tier, you can send me you can send me requests to do here on YouTube. But yeah. So this one is another comic book adaptation for cartoon characters doing a Marvel or DC event, and this one was actually pretty close. Like, this was actually kind of there wasn't really like a clear-cut winner outside of like one, and they only won 33% of the vote, and that is Heroes in Crisis, which beat out Secret Wars, Salvation Run, which was a DC it was kind of a DC event with all the villains being dumped on a different planet and kind of going Lord of the Flies on each other. And then it was Contest of Champions. But Heroes in Crisis won by one vote, so it won 33% of the vote. And yeah. And I know I've done Heroes in Crisis before on the channel, but hey, it never hurts to revisit and retool something, am I right? Like, it never hurts to like come back and retool an idea. Like, that's how I've always felt, is that it never hurts to retool an idea if it works. Anyway, so let's get started with this. So basically what it is that there is a place called Sanctuary, just like in the original story, and there has been a massacre. There's just been a massacre of several heroes, and the tapes, the recordings of the heroes has gone missing. Like, all of them have gone missing, and there's only 2 culprits. There's only 2 people they can look at as suspects. There's only 2 real suspects here. One is Ulrich from Code Lyoko. The other is Steven. The other one is, so Steven and Ulrich are the top 2 people who were capable of killing all these heroes. And who was among them? You have Nino from Ladybug. You have I'm talking like some of the Power Rangers. You have several heroes that are just killed off. And you have Ron, who was among the dead. You have Marcy, who's dead. You have several, like a good number of superheroes who are just slaughtered by whoever did this. So it turns out that Sanctuary was created by Kim Possible, Danny Phantom, and Ben Tennyson. The 3 of them basically created Sanctuary because, being a superhero is traumatizing. Being a young superhero is super traumatizing, and that's what it was meant to be, is like a sanctuary for young superheroes to come and like decompress and talk in private. Because being a kid superhero, that's going to lead to some trauma. So among like some of the talks, there was in the private sessions, there was Luz, who kind of talked about her trauma of basically being on the boiling isles and dealing with all of that pressure of trying to save the world. You have Anne, who talks about, like, I had to save 2 worlds, and I had to basically died. Like, I died, and then I got brought back, and now I'm supposed to be God when I grow old. That's a little fucked up. So Anne talks about that. Like, she talks about her, is it all preordained? Am I supposed to be God? Do I want to be God when I die? Like, it's all of that. You have Dipper, who talks about when he was possessed by Bill and all the traumatizing events of Gravity Falls, and he talks about, like, I had to watch my body get possessed by a mad demon who nearly killed my friends and family. How am I not supposed to, like, move past that without waking up? And he talks about, like, how, like, he's woken up to, like, horrific nightmares, and how, like, it's all been, like, just one nightmare after another, just over and over again, and he's just been, like, forcing himself to stay awake. You have Ladybug, who's like, I'm slowly becoming more and more like, she talks about how, like, more controlling she's become over her friends and, like, the other superheroes, and, like, also trying to balance her her superhero life with her regular school life, and how it's, like, affecting her and she's like her sleep schedule is completely fucked up. You have who else was another fun one to talk about? Like, oh yeah, the Green Power Ranger, where he talks about like, yeah, I was enslaved by Rita, and then I was suddenly thrust into being the new leader of a group of teenagers, of child soldiers, to fight a intergalactic war. That's a little fucked up, don't you think? You also have it's just so many. Like, there's just so many, and now all the tapes of these superheroes are being sorry for the background noise. I don't know if the mic's picking that up, but yeah, there's so many like just tapes, and like all of that is being leaked to the public, and yeah, it's not good. Like, it's not a good look to anyone. And sorry about that. Anyway, so the story basically is that the videos get leaked to the public, and immediately the faith in the superhero community is immediately like dashed. So during the entire investigation that Danny, Ben, and Kim are trying to do, what happens is that Danny's like, all right, I'm just gonna have to go talk to him. I'm gonna go have to hold like a press conference or something. There needs to be like a trust between the heroes and humanity. So while he's doing that, Kim is doing a little investigation of her own, and again, it goes back to the two. Suspects. The word got away from me. And the two suspects, of course, are Steven and Ulrich, and they've both gone into the wind. Like, they've both like escaped. So now they're trying to figure out what's going on, because it's either one of them, and it's like how the murder took place, because they have two. All they have is that they have two conflicting. They have two very, very different conflicting reports. One being that. Sorry about that. A lot of pauses in between. Sorry about that. But anyway, so like I said, there's two different varying accounts between Steven and Ulrich before they both went into the wind. That being, for Ulrich, he was like, I saw Steven like fucking killing all of our friends. I was trying to stop him. And Steven says the same thing, but he was basically watching, like he said he saw Ulrich like running through and just decapitating and slaughtering people. The problem is that when the trio were examining the bodies, it's hard to tell, because they could easily like be like, okay, it was Ulrich's swords that did this, but then it was like, no, Steven's shield could have done the same thing. Like, his shield is just as sharp, if not sharper, than those swords. And the problem is these marks are too precise for both of them. Like, they're both pretty precise with their respective weapons, so we can't tell if this was done by a sword or a shield. Like, we literally cannot tell if we cannot for the life of us tell if this was done by sword or shield. This is pretty like scary shit. So yeah. But anyway, so as the story like continues, there's someone else that's kind of pulling the strings. Someone who has like been the one who's been creeping around doing all of these, like pulling the strings on everything, and that was him. See, him found out about Sanctuary after following Bubbles one day to Sanctuary, and he was like, oh, this will be so much fun. And what happened was, he's the one. It wasn't Steven or Ulrich, it was both. He made both of them have like a mental breakdown at the exact same time and get into a fight that the other heroes were trying to break up, and it led to so many heroes getting killed off. And him was just like, oh, it was so much fun to, I didn't even have to lift a finger, it was all them. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can make people do when you just poke at them a little in the head. So it kind of leaves on a sour note because of all these heroes dying. But Danny does manage to control the crowd. He basically like tells them like, look, we're just as we need help too. I know you're scared that we may have like a mental breakdown or something like Ulrich or Steven did, but really, we're just as human as you, and we'll still be there for you, but we need our time as well. So Sanctuary becomes more public and more heroes start coming in, and Steven and Ulrich are both kind of just kind of left to the like, are more or less like they are absolved of it, but they still they have more sessions now, like heavier sessions, because it's just more trauma built into it. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much my cartoon version of Heroes in Crisis. So you guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.